Hello, now nice to see you here, all of you. There are 21 persons at the moment who have joined us. Nice to see you here. Can you hear me all? Is it loud enough? You can write in chat your answers for me to see if everything's okay. It's okay. All right. So let us begin. My name is Olga. I am a manager at iRidium Mobile, and I'm very happy to see you here. We have decided to organize this joint training because we have had different requests from you that you wanted to learn more about the connection between the Global Caché devices and the iRidium mobile software. So here we are. And today today's webinar will be held in several parts. The first part will be the Global Caché part, and Rusty Keller, the marketing director at Global Caché, will start. She will be joined and followed by a technical specialist from Global Caché, Garrett, who will describe you all the things about Global Caché, and you're welcome to ask any questions that you may have in chat here, and we will answer them also at once as soon as we can. And after the first part, we will join again the iRidium mobile team, and we will describe and tell you how
Hi, can you hear me?
Of Global Caché devices and iRidium mobile software. Let me switch on to Rusty now.
Thank you, Olga. I'd like to thank Olga and iRidium for inviting us to participate in today's webinar. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. I'm a little worried about that. But my name is Rusty Keller, and I head up the marketing department, and I'm one of the co-founders at Global Caché. I'm going to share a few items about our company, a little background about our market, and then pass the baton over to one of our engineers, Garrett Gustafson. Excuse me. After Garrett, iRidium will share their information, as Olga mentioned, and how we work together as partners. We will welcome questions, but because of this format, it's probably best to hold them to the end, and we'll answer any questions you have. We hope to leave plenty of time for questions at the end. As this slide indicates, we've actually been in business for since 2002. We were founded by Silicon Valley veterans from the IT industry. Enterprise Software was the last company that we founded and took public. Excuse me. Our focus is on IP enabling and connectivity products. We started in residential, but we've also grown into the educational and commercial markets quite a bit lately, especially commercial. Open systems based and industry standards are sort of our thing. We're really big into open systems and sharing our technology. The GC100 was and is the first product of its kind in this market. The iTach family of products was introduced in 2009 with the Flex following last year. The Flex is the first smart endpoint. It's won 3 industry awards. And it is, Garrett will go into detail about how the Flex works, but it's a very interesting and flexible product. We have market leadership with over 500,000 units installed in the field, and I probably should update that slide because about every time I give this presentation we've gone up another 50,000. So, oops, sorry about that. Our sales channel is primarily through distribution. We sell about 50% international, 50% domestic. Our distributors then sell to dealers and installers. We do have a few select master distributors that are able to sell to other distributors, that handle some sales and support, RMAs and that sort of thing, and they also sell to dealers and installers. We sell through VARs. VARs sell to their channel, and they retain the GC brand and sell with their products. We also have a few select OEMs where we have a pretty robust OEM branding program where we brand our products as the customers, and then they sell to their channel with their brand. Why choose Global Caché? Well, as I mentioned before, it's kind of a big deal to us. Our claim to fame is that we're open. We have an open architecture. We have all of our APIs are public, and on our website, we work with everybody. You want us for choice. We're the best of breed. We have great cost, very little competition, and we're future-proof, which allows for change in your product and in the marketplace. We focus primarily on our serial IR and relay contact closure, but we have models available in wired, with PoE, without PoE, and Wi-Fi. And Garrett, again, will get into that more extensively. And I'm going to go ahead and ask Olga to hand the baton over to Garrett. Then at the end, I'll close it up and then hand it over to iRidium. So, Olga?
Here, yes, I am giving the rights to Garrett. So, Garrett, now we can see.
Okay, thank you, Olga, and thank you, Rusty. Pleasure to do that. Okay, it sounded like I was muted there for a second, so hopefully you guys can hear me. So now you've heard a little bit of our company. I'm going to talk about basically our devices and what they do. We work in a space where we IP enable a variety of devices that otherwise wouldn't be able to be put onto the network. These are devices that can be used inside residential buildings for home automation, in commercial buildings for business places, as well as educational installations for universities or schools. So the first product that we actually that we started out with at Global Caché was called is called the GC100. And the GC100 really focuses on the three main types of control that we've stuck with all the way through our family evolution. And that is serial, IR, and relay control. In the GC, we have two functional different units in the GC100 family. There's the GC106 serial, which has one serial port and 3 IR ports. And then the other one is the GC112 or GC118, which are functionally the same and have 2 serial ports, 3 relay outputs, and 6 IR outputs. And I'll talk a little bit more about the difference between serial, relay, and IR a little bit further in this presentation. Another note with the GC100 is that all the IR sensors or all the IR outputs can also be used as sensors. We sell cables that can be used to detect contact closure or voltage, so you can get feedback from your system, which is a nice feature. So the iTach family of products is the next generation after the GC100. And with iTach, we move more towards localized control, whereas with the GC100, you would have lots of different outputs on one unit, namely like 2 serial ports, 6 IR ports. The iTach, it focuses on one type of control. So we have IR units, which is infrared, which is like your remote at home that turns on the TV. We have serial RS-232, which is used a lot of times on projectors, some alarm systems, which is just a communication protocol you can use. And then we also have relay outputs, which are essentially buttons that can be pushed on and off. In the iTach comes, one thing that we added with the iTach family was Wi-Fi, which allows you to put your devices anywhere you have a power connector instead of having to be limited to your internal wiring with the Ethernet. We also have PoE versions available, which is power over Ethernet. So for the Ethernet models, you can actually, you don't need a power port if you get a PoE unit. You can just plug directly in with the PoE-enabled switch. We also improved the hardware quite significantly with the iTach family. We went to 8 simultaneous connections, which means that you can have someone in the living room talking to the iTach, and you can have someone talking to that same iTach in the next room over in the bedroom controlling a TV there. So that's a really nice benefit because it doesn't limit you to having only one person be able to talk to the device at the same time. And these devices also added a lot of nice features that make it a lot easier to install. They're also field upgradable, which basically means that if there's any bug fixes or feature upgrades for these units, we can download new firmware to the unit through one of our utilities. They also added an IR learner built in on the unit. The GC100 did have an IR learner that you could connect to the serial port, or it does have an IR learner that you can connect to the serial port, but the iTach actually has one built in, so you have everything you need to do IR right there with you, which is really nice because if you have a remote, then you can learn it and you can then send the commands and you're already all set up. So the iTach models come in a variety of different enclosures or different form factors. One is the Wi-Fi to IR, which is the middle unit you see there with the red, and it's obviously a Wi-Fi unit that has IR control. We also have the iTach IP to IR, which is the Ethernet model, and this it comes in that optional PoE that I was talking about earlier. We have the same for serial. We have the iTach Wi-Fi to serial, which would be the one with the blue on the top right, and as well as the IP model with the PoE variant. And then finally on the left you see the yellow faceplated ones with the green terminals, and those would be the iTach Wi-Fi to CC and the IP to CC with also a PoE variant. So our newest version of or our newest family of products is called the iTach Flex products. And the iTach Flex is really a design that's meant to really simplify the way that we do control. And so the iTach Flex is called flexible. And the Flex basically, instead of having one unit where you have the iTach units, where one unit is serial and it can only be serial, or it's IR and it can only be IR, the iTach Flex can do any IR, serial, or relays, and you just have to plug in a different cable to do it. So if you want to do serial, you plug in a FlexLink serial cable, kind of like you see there on the in the picture on this slide, and you would be able to configure the device for serial and do your serial control. Likewise, we have cables for IR. We have IR emitters, which are small or short-range devices, which can be placed directly on top of the receiver, as well as IR blasters, which will allow you to send commands across the room. These devices also have an internal Wi-Fi antenna on this unit here is a Wi-Fi unit. There's also an Ethernet unit. And they also have the IR learner built in, and it's also an improved learner, so it actually makes learning a lot more straightforward and a lot easier than the iTach family. So the FlexLink cables that we have are the FlexLink tri-port cable, which is the one pictured up on the top right. And that is basically a cable that allows you to do IR control. It breaks out the one 3.5 millimeter jack on the unit to 3 IR jacks, and that allows you to connect up to 3 independent IR channels to the device. We also have variants of this cable, which would be the FlexLink 3 emitter cable, which is essentially the same idea, except that the emitters are already molded onto the cable, so you don't have to plug them in, and it's all one cohesive cable there. Then we also have the FlexLink 2E1B, which is 2 emitters in 1 blaster, and the blaster being the longer range IR solution there. So you'd be able to put 2 emitters on a device and then put a blaster that would maybe send over to a projector in the middle of the room or something of that nature. And then we also have single variants of these, the FlexLink blaster. You could get a single one that plugs into the Flex as well as an emitter if you just want to control one device. We also have an upcoming cable called the FlexLink relay cable, which I will be talking about later, but it adds relay support to the Flex, and we have currently the FlexLink serial cable, which allows you to do RS-232 control through this device. So when you get a Flex, you're going to want to, of course, hook it up to your network and start controlling things. So for the Flex, this is really simple. The Ethernet model, you would just plug it into your network with an Ethernet cable, and you would get a DHCP address. The picture here of this unit is actually a Wi-Fi model, and for the Wi-Fi model, we've come up with a pretty good way of getting these units on the network, and we do this through an ad hoc network. And basically, the iTach Flex when you first get it from the factory, it will broadcast its own network, and you'll go on your iPad or your PC, and you'll find that network, and then you'll connect to it. And you'll enter in the default IP address of the unit in your browser, and it'll bring you to a page that looks similar to the page you see there on the iPad. And that page will show all the available wireless networks in your area, and you'll be able to choose the one that is your home or your commercial installation network and connect the Flex to it by entering in the password of the network and clicking Submit Changes. So these are the web pages of the various generations. On the left you see the iTach Flex. One of the things that the Flex has, since it can have different cables plugged in, is it allows you to select different, obviously select these different cables. So this page here, you can choose that you have a single IR emitter or some more version of the tri-port cable, as well as a serial cable. And there's when you click on those, there'll be a drop-down menu for additional options there to configure cable-specific settings. And then for the iTach and the GC100 units, we have a similar idea there, except for the units will have a built-in functionality, so you don't have to select which functionality the unit has. It'll just be configuring the specifics of that output mode. So we've actually developed some utilities that are meant to help install and use our devices. These aren't control softwares, they're just utilities to help get the devices up and running, as well as get the maximum amount of functionality out of the unit. The first one, and probably the one that most people will have a need for, is iHelp. And iHelp is meant to detect your units and get them on the net, or when they're on the network, and it'll basically scan the network and look for Global Caché units. And when it finds them, it'll display them in a list. And when in that list, you'll see the IP address of the unit, so that you know what IP address it has, so you can actually talk to it. This is especially useful if you're using DHCP, where you might not know where it comes up on. It also allows you to do updates, which is great, because if we add new features, or if we add anything, if we add any or bug fixes, we can do that there. I'm seeing some stuff that my audio might not be the best, so I'm going to try to adjust that here, but hopefully it's got a little bit better there. So iLearn would be the next utility that we have, and so iLearn allows you to learn IR codes, and we can use essentially we can use the built-in learners on the devices. The iTach and the iTach Flex have these, or we can use the GCIRL or the GCIRE, which are separate learners that can be plugged into the GC100. These can all be connected to through iLearn. You'll essentially enter in the IP address of the unit and connect to the unit, and you'll be able to start sending codes to this respective learner on the device, and they'll show up there for editing and saving. Once you have your codes, you might have a need to either convert them to another format if you're if that's needed. There's also, if you got your codes from somewhere, from some other source, they often come in what's called the hex format, and iConverts allows you to convert the hex format into the GC format, which is the format that the devices will respond to. And finally, we have iTest, which is a troubleshooting utility. So if there are any issues, you can send commands directly to the device to make sure that you're communicating correctly, as well as send test IR codes or test serial commands through the unit. So Control Tower is actually a new improved database, IR database that we've recently released. And we're quite excited about this because it adds, whereas our last database had a lot of IR codes, this database has a lot more IR codes, and they're also a lot better maintained database. There's actually a company that we have gotten this database from that regularly maintains and adds new devices as they come to market, so it's always being kept up to date. And it's actually, to our knowledge, the world's first cloud-based IR database, which means that the installers can go online to irdb.globalcache.com, and you can actually pull down 5 code sets a day directly from that site, so you can get the IR's code sets that you need for your installation right there, and it's really simple and easy. There's also the ability for our partners, such as iRidium, to integrate with this database to actually improve upon that the access to the database for their installers. So once you have your device, it's always good to see how you'd actually hook it up. So this is kind of a diagram indicating how a normal iTach would be hooked up to the network. We could also put an iTach Flex here or use the IR ports on a GC100. So essentially, you would hook up your device. In this case, it'd be Wi-Fi, and you'd go through the little connecting to the ad hoc network and telling it to connect to your network. And once it's on there, you would put all your emitters on the devices you wanted to control, or if you're using a blaster, as shown on the right, you would set that somewhere where you can point it at the TV or the projector or whatever device that might be a little bit further away. And once you have that all set up, you would take out your iPhone, running iRidium, and send a command through the network, which would go through your over the Wi-Fi to the device, and then out on one of the emitters or the blaster, depending on what device you're trying to control. And then the device would respond, and you would access the media that you wanted to access there. So IR, which I'm sure you guys have heard me say quite a bit recently, is one of the most common modes of control that we use, and or that is used in the market, and that's because almost everything in your home theater has IR control. It's everything that you have a remote that has a little diode at the end. You have to point at the receiving unit. It's probably using IR control. And so we use a wide frequency on our IR outputs. It's 32 kilohertz to 500 kilohertz, as you see there. And to put that in perspective, most devices, probably about 95% of the devices will fall off, or will not need to be above 50 to 60 kilohertz range. But we go all the way up to 500 kilohertz, and that's just so we can ensure that we always can control the devices. There are some manufacturers, such as Bang and Olufsen, that do use frequencies up closer to 500 kilohertz, and that's just to make sure that when you get your device, you'll be able to control your device with our devices, because we do the entire spectrum of IR frequencies. So let's talk a little bit about IR emitters. I briefly touched on them before, but the IR emitter is kind of like the one pictured up on the top right there. And it's essentially a short-range transmitter of IR data. So you'd plug that into your iTach or your iTach Flex or your GC100, and then you would stick the other end, the little bulb, right on top of the receiver of the unit. And this would just send IR directly to that unit and only that unit. And as we see here, the Flex can support 3 emitters through the tri-port cable, which is something to be aware of, as it sometimes causes a little control and a little confusing seeing only that one 3.5 millimeter jack, but it can be expanded with the tri-port. We also have the IR blasters if you want to go longer distance. Again, this is kind of more like your traditional handheld remote where you can send an IR code across the room. And also, we also have a GC-CGX cable, which is a cable that allows you to hook into Xantech IR distribution blocks. So if you find that 3 IR outputs isn't enough, you can hook in a cable to that device, and they would be able to control that distribution block. So now a really quick example of sending IR over a network. So you have your control software indicated on this diagram by the PC up in the top right, and you would send an IR command. So maybe we send channel up when we want to send it to our cable box. So it would go out over on the network, and then that would go in through the Ethernet port or over Wi-Fi if we're using a different device. And then that unit would process the command and send out the IR pulses or the IR code on the IR emitter that we want to talk to. And this would all be selectable within using the code format or within the software. Then the command would all go out on the IR emitter, and the device would respond. So as I touched on just a little bit earlier, the GCCDX cable allows us to talk to IR distribution blocks, iTach IR distribution blocks. And so this is kind of the same idea. We would send the code out over the IP network. It would go into the unit's Ethernet or IP input, and then the code would go out on one of the IR ports. Except in this case, we would have the GCCDX cable hooked up there, and that would go, so the code would go through the GCCDX cable, which would basically create an interface between the two devices, and we'd be able to talk to the IR distribution block, which would send out the command that you sent there to all the devices that are hooked up to the IR distribution block. So serial ports is another common way of controlling devices. There are a lot of projectors out there that use serial ports. Bose usually has a serial input on their devices. There's a lot of devices out there that can use this interface. And so the GC100 was the first product we added serial to. As you can see, it goes from 1200 to 57.6 kilobaud. The iTach and the iTach Flex go to 115.2 kilobaud. And one of the things we actually added on the iTach Flex was the ability to do gender swapping. And what gender swapping is if you've ever used a serial communication, RS-232 communication before, you're probably familiar with the terms crossover or no modem and straight through cables. Essentially what this is depending on what type of device you're hooking up to, you have to have a crossover cable or a straight through cable. And if you have the wrong cable, your communication likely won't work. So what we've done with the Flex is we've actually taken away the need to actually have get the exact right cable, because you can actually swap between a crossover cable and a straight through cable directly in the software on the iTach Flex. So this allows a lot easier and less hassle-free installs. We also have full hardware flow control as well as parity on our RS-232, so you can be assured that your device will be able to talk with the Flex, since we do support all of that parts of the RS-232 protocol. So for the serial ports, we support up to 4 simultaneous connections, which again is kind of the same idea. If you have someone in one room talking to a serial device, and another person in another room can talk to it using a different device, a different iPad or PC or smartphone using another device. So this is kind of a little diagram showing how we would talk to a serial port. Up in the top left, we have the iTach Wi-Fi to serial, which would be another unit we could talk to. We could also talk to the iTach Flex. So to send a serial command, we would send the serial command. So, for example, if we sent power on to a device, it would go out on the network, go in through the Ethernet port, and then go out on the serial port over RS-232 into the RS-232 port of the controlled device. So relays are the final method that we have focused on. And the GC100 and iTach relays have 3 dry contact closure relays, or also known as single pole, single throw relays. And that's just kind of a fancy way of saying that it's either an on or off connection. And we have here the Phoenix connector that we use on the right, which has 2 inputs. And essentially this would be hooked up in a way that if you wanted to control, for example, a garage door through a button panel, where you would normally hook up one end of the button, you would hook into one terminal, and where the return from that button would go into the other terminal. And then you would be able to trigger that relay to do the on and off, just as you would have normally done with a button push. And so all of our relays are rated for 20 volts at 500 milliamps, which allows you to control a large variety of devices, some of which are listed here, like screen top, irrigation, security. in the GC100 family, as well as the IP-CC and Wi-Fi CC units have this type of relay here. So with the iTach Flex and our upcoming FlexLink relay and sensor cable, we've kept a very similar approach, but we've also improved on it quite a bit. So we have, in its most basic mode, we have 4 dry contact relays, single pole, single throw relays, similar to the or the iTach contact closure units in the GC100. Except we've also added the ability to configure these relays for to emulate common relay types, so such as single pole, single throw, single pole, double throw, dual pole, single throw, and double pole, double throw. And so what that allows you to do is it allows you to control more devices because you can talk to them using the relay type that they would have normally been used. So if you're going to normally use a dual pole single throw, if you were actually hooking up a physical switch to it, you can now do that with the relay board. These are all software configurable, so you can configure it for different relay types. Another thing we've actually added, which is quite a significant improvement, is we've added the ability to control external latching relays. What this allows is for the easy hookup of an external relay that's of the latching type, which allows you to control a higher power relay. So whereas the relays in the Flex and in our other products are rated for 24 volts at half an amp, we understand that that's not always enough, so you can actually hook up the latching relay to the device, and it's configurable through software to know that it's talking to a latching relay. And then you can trigger that higher power relay to run or to control something over higher voltage, such as main voltage. So this is an example of how we would control something using a relay. So we would send out basically an on or off command if we're using the GC100 or iTach, or we might send out a pulse if we're using a latching relay on the Flex. And that command would go out over the IP network. It would go to the unit, and the unit would trigger either an on or off on that relay, which would just be pretty much simulating a button press to on or off, so you can control your curtains, drop down screen, garage door, or other relay control device. So as I'm sure you've caught on by now, all of our devices talk through the network, and the reason we've done that is because networks are available in almost every installation or every installation site. All of our homes usually have Wi-Fi or Ethernet networks, and it's really hard to find a commercial business that does not have some form of an IP network in it. So that's the communication method we've chosen because we are able to easily hook into it. It's not an additional cost to the customer since that's already existing infrastructure. And we're also able to, the whole purpose of our devices is to connect other non-IP enabled devices to the network. So things like projectors or things like your DVD player or your garage door or your curtains. These are all things that don't normally have IP enabling, so you can't normally talk to them through a network. And our devices allow you to really simply send IR codes to them, send serial commands to them, or send button pushes to them through relays, which allow you to really easily get these things on the network. So kind of in summary here, the main points that we try to fulfill here is that we have a really open architecture. We'd like to talk with everyone, which is what allows us to have great partners like iRidium. We try to make this, or we make this as simple as possible. All of the commands sent to the devices are, fairly simple, and that allows you to get your installation going with a really reliable product that won't cost you extra in trying to spend time on the support line or troubleshooting. They're also very economical products and allow you to get a lot of good value for your dollar or money when compared to other solutions on the market. This all adds up to save you installation time. You don't need very much training, as we're not, as you can see here today, we're not going to be here for the next 12 hours. It's just basically a lot simpler to get an installation going and get your customer install completely up and running and your customer satisfied. So with that, I'm going to pass it on over to Rusty, and she'll sum up the presentation, and we'll take some questions.
Yes, I'm handing it over to Rusty.
Thank you, Garrett, and thank you, Olga. Basically, I just wanted to give you some partner resources. Can you hear me? The sound seems a little off. Well, I'm not sure what it is. We have a quiet room. I'm not sure why the sound is so bad. It must be the internet connection. So I'm going to continue. Essentially, this is a list of our partner resources. We are a partnering company. Without partners like iRidium and some of our other partners, we're basically useless. We are the glue that sticks the hardware and the software and the systems together. So I've listed here our website has a library or a downloads page that has all of our APIs, all of our apps and utilities, all of our spec sheets, and any information that we have available to our partners and to our customer, or to the end user. We also have a partner portal. We have a marketing page if you want to do co-marketing, or if you need to be able to download and print data sheets, those are available. Also, we have a very robust support team and a support portal. We have, as I mentioned before, the downloads page, and then we have a reviews, videos, and case studies page. In conclusion, some of the things that we hit on and I'd like to illustrate are that we are a leader in this market. We have been from the beginning, and we continue to be. We continue to develop best-of-breed first products of their kind in the industry. We are partnered with almost every control system provider and distributor. We are flexible, cost-effective, and as I keep saying, we embrace open systems and industry standards. We have a very simple hardware design, which makes it very reliable. It's not rocket science. We have good, solid, robust products with tried and true technology. And we are simply the best way to glue it all together via Wi-Fi and IP. And with that, I will hand it back over to Olga.
Thank you, Rusty. So there was a number of questions about the Global Caché. Would you like to answer them now or a bit later?
That's really up to you. I think Garrett, any of the marketing or sales related questions would go to me. It looked like most of them were technical questions.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something about, there was a question about the relay and contact closure cable. We're actually in beta right now with that cable, as well as a new firmware update for the Flex. We've been in beta for quite some time. We're trying to really get it dialed in and make sure that it's really solid. And that firmware update actually is, once that's released, then the contact closure relay cable will be released, as well as PoE for the Flex. I saw some other questions that I think you'll probably want to hand over to Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
You might need to repeat them. I'm not sure if he's familiar with this format. He might not have seen him in the lower hand corner.
All right, so we'll switch on to Garrett. Garrett, all right. So, Garrett, have you seen the questions, or would you like me to repeat them?
I could repeat a couple of them. I'm just trying to cycle through them now. If you have one that you can see there, I'd be happy to answer that one.
All right. There was, does Global Caché have any solution for radio frequency signal?
We actually don't have a solution for RF remotes, and part of the reason of that is that they can be at a variety of different frequencies, which can be difficult to hit all those receivers in a cost-effective solution. But it is something we're aware of, and we'll keep in mind.
Yeah, thank you. Another question: will there be a USB version of the IR loaner?
Could you repeat that, Sam?
Yes, will there be a USB version of the IR loaner?
So that's not something that we have, planned in the immediate future. All of our devices are essentially IP-enabled learners. There's also the GCIRL or GCIRE, which can be used as learners as well, and those are available through a serial interface. So if USB is wanted, you can use a USB to serial adapter to do a USB learner through that, but there isn't a direct USB learner.
Thank you. Another question: can you control serial from the iTach directly from your tablet without a router?
So the iTach Flex and iTach Wi-Fi to SL or IP to SL or Wi-Fi to SL both need to be hooked up to a network to be able to do serial communication. They can function in ad hoc mode, which is the original way that they're set up when they're first provisioned, but they're limited to only one connection at that point until they're hooked up to a network.
Thank you. Another question: any plans to make a SCR type, one that will support high amperage, not use mechanical contacts?
Yeah, so the solution we've kind of come up with for high amperage and high voltage systems is the latching relays with the FlexLink relay and sensor cable. So that cable will be able to essentially really easily hook up to latching relay types, which will allow you to get that higher amperage control.
And a question that is, I believe, connected with it: when will relays that support latching function be available?
So that was one that Rusty touched on. It's currently in beta right now, and we're trying to make sure that it's completely rock solid or really stable before we release it out to the public. And we hope to see that very soon. But we do want to make sure that it's we're sending out a really good product before we do send it out.
So I don't remember, but there's a question: how is Flex powered?
How is the Flex powered?
Yes.
The Flex is powered through USB. There's a small micro USB connector on it, and that it comes with a power supply, which you can plug into your wall. It could also be plugged in another standard USB port. The PoE version, which is set to be released around the same time as the relay board, will also be available, so you could then power it through a PoE compatible switch or router.
Okay, another question: is a PoE version of the iTach Flex possible or planned?
Yes, so the iTach Flex does have a PoE version planned. It's also currently in beta. It's actually the same. Excuse me. Sorry, the same firmware that will be supporting the iTach relay, FlexLink relay and sensor cable. Will also do the support for the PoE. So those will be likely to be released around the same time.
Thank you. Another question: can you control high-frequency IR codes such as B and OTV that I can't control with iTach?
Yes. So yeah, the iTach Flex and the iTach should both be able to control the Bang & Olufsen IR codes. The iTach Flex Learner is. It sounds like they're having a little bit of difficulty with that one, which might be one to, we send our support portal to see if we can get the codes for that to you. But the iTach Flex also would have a lot easier time learning those IR codes to get the actual code set for that device.
Thanks. And one more question: does iTach support serial testing?
Does iTach support serial testing? The iTach Flex, I'm not sure I completely understand that question. The iTach Flex supports a serial output. It's bidirectional, so you'd be able to use that to essentially test that with another serial port. Hopefully, I kind of understand that question correctly there.
So maybe or the attendee will specify it. There is another question. Using the plaster, how much equipment can I control?
So using the blaster, you can usually control. You can definitely control at least one device, obviously, but you can sometimes control more than one device if they're all within a couple feet of each other. It has to do with basically how close the devices are to each other, since you're sending that a directional IR to it. So if you have a stack of cable boxes or a stack of DVD players, which are all within like a foot of each other or 2 feet of each other, you should be able to control almost all of those devices with one blaster. But it does completely depend. To answer the question, it depends on the setup of the actual room and where the devices are located in relation to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, thank you. Another question. Why is the noted GC portfolio converter Ethernet RS845?
So there isn't currently a RS485 converter or gateway at this time. There are converters that you can go from 232 to 485, but that's something we're very aware of. But yeah, there isn't one currently.
Mm-hmm, thank you. And will the legend upgrade happen with existing GC100 series?
So we don't have any. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole question there.
Alright, so will the legend upgrade happen? Will the upgrade happen with the existing GC100 series?
Oh, okay. So we don't have any firmware updates planned for the GC100. So we are aware that there's a need for for more devices that have multiple control outputs on them. So that's something we've talked about and we're aware of, but we don't have anything that's on the immediate horizon right now.
Mm-hmm. And Garrett, there is a long question in chat. Can you see it about an iPhone? The last one, just too long to read. About an iPhone. Connecting directly to.
I see one that says that's regarding the IR learner here.
Scroll down and scroll down. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if an iPhone connects directly to the GC100 and sends a command, what would happen when a second device attempts connection? Okay, so essentially with the GC100 being limited to one connection, one device would only have the connection at a time. What would happen is if an iPhone were to connect to the GC100 and send a command, and then the second device would try to connect. If the first device was actively using that connection, the first iPhone would maintain that connection and it would be able to continue saving or sending commands. But if another device, if it wasn't actively using that connection, the other device could actually take away and kind of steal that connection, which is to allow it so the GC100 doesn't get locked up where it's stuck to one device that might not be responding. But it does have a way to, you can connect to it with the next device and then send out commands. But it would terminate the connection on the first device.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Any other questions to ask Garrett or ST?
So I see one that says, what is the range of the Wi-Fi Flex? So the Wi-Fi Flex is, it depends a lot on your network environment. It's kind of the standard Wi-Fi. So if without any walls or any interference, you do 300 feet. But that would really depend on what type of environment you're in. But it is a fairly we don't usually hear any complaints about Wi-Fi signal strength with these devices. So if you can control it, with your standard or your smartphone, if you're able to get good solid Wi-Fi connection, I would expect D-Flex to work there.
Yes, and there is a long question starting with regarding. Scroll a bit up the chat and you'll see it.
Yeah. So regarding the IR learner, I worked with IP-IR hardware and learning function, and this module isn't working very well. This IR learning is doing better with learning than normal IR modules. So that's one that I would definitely suggest that the customer send an email into our support at globalcache.com to get some support there with learning the codes. We are recently aware of a bug that did affect some codes from being learned using the latest version of iLearn. So for some people, the older version of iLearn might be a solution for that, which we can give to you through support at globalcache.com. But generally, we should be able to learn almost all IR codes with the IP-IR. So I would definitely suggest sending in a ticket to our system so we can help troubleshoot that and get those codes working.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Any other question that you would like to be answered? Oh, no questions. Am I right? Yeah, there seems to be no questions. Yeah, Garrett, thank you so much for your presentation and for your detailed answer to all the questions that have been asked. Thank you so much. Rusty, would you like to make? Yeah, Rusty, would you like to make any conclusion or to sum anything up?
Hello?
Yes, Rusty, you are here.
Okay, great. Sorry. No, I feel pretty comfortable with the presentation. If anybody has any marketing or sales questions, I'd be happy to answer them now. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, there seems to be no questions. So we are passing on to our part. And so let us describe what iRidium is about and how iRidium can work with Global Caché. So here we go. So what is iRidium for Global Caché? So here it is. So here is what we'll talk today about. So what is iRidium, where iRidium is used, so what iRidium components are and how to start your work with iRidium if you have never heard anything about it. And we'll show you a few designs that iRidium is famous for. So let's pass on. So what is iRidium? iRidium is a professional software to visualize control of automation and AV equipment as far as we are talking about Global Caché. So iRidium is a fully software solution. There is no server, no hardware to use. So iRidium is only software. The unique feature of iRidium is that it works on any mobile platforms, whether it is an iOS system, Android, Windows, or OS X. One more advantage of iRidium is that it provides full two-way communication with any AV equipment, and any custom tailor interface can be made in it. So you can realize any wish of your customer to make the interface that he or she would like to have and or he or she dreams about. So where is iRidium used? iRidium is used in a great variety of fields. So as far as we're talking about Global Caché, first of all, of course, it is residential automation and commercial automation. But iRidium can also be used in industrial automation. Let me show you a few examples of projects that have been made with iRidium where Global Caché equipment is integrated, AV equipment, is integrated with some automation equipment. Here you can see pictures of a 3-room apartment, or it's a apartment in Latvia, Riga, where the Global Caché devices, exactly GC112 and GC106, are used together with Domintel equipment. And here is another project, a small one, but nevertheless. In Russia, in a small Russian town, Tambov, again, Global Caché devices GC112 and GCY5 were used to control together with KNX equipment. If you're interested, you can see more projects done in iRidium with different kind of equipment at our site in the tab project, and here you are. Here are smart homes that have been made with iRidium. You can switch on to smart buildings and see more of it. For example, here is a Wi-Fi club automated interior. Here, Global Caché devices have been used. Together we are to automate this nice club. And you can see more projects here, and you see our AV equipment integrated with other automation equipment. So we are passing on to components of iRidium. So iRidium consists of two basic components. They are development tools and the client part. So development tools is a software package that is installed, downloaded from iRidium mobile website and installed on a PC. The software package consists of several items. To begin with, it is iRidium GUI editor. That is the basic one. So this is the editor, the visual editor that creates graphic interfaces, and it is here that connection is set up with AV equipment. The next important thing in the software package that you download is the iRidium Transfer. It is an app that uploads projects and licenses on control panels. We'll speak about licenses a bit later. So, and the second part, that is the client part. They are client apps. That they are a set of apps that can be downloaded or from either Google Play if you have an Android control panel, or App Store if it is an iOS-based control panel. And the feature that we are proud of is that all apps can launch the same interface, and it will work identically well, and it will look identically beautiful on any operation system, irrespective of the type of the control panel that you use. So, one more time, why is iRidium different from the other solutions that you may have come across in your working career and your working experience? First, that is, iRidium keeps interfaces, GUIs as we call them, directly on your control panel. It can be an iPad, an iPhone, an Android, or a Windows-based phone. And it has equal graphic characteristics on any of these control panels. And it works much faster than any web-based app. So, one more advantage that is again important, and many people think that it is available one, that is, it is possible to integrate a number of automation protocols and AV equipment in one project. There is also the fourth advantage is that iRidium has an open tool to add new systems. It means that you can create a driver to control practically any equipment. It can be AV equipment or any other equipment that you want to have in your project, and you can make a script driver to control it the way you want it. And one more thing that I would like to mention is that the opportunities provided to you are in creating, in designing an interface are absolutely unlimited. It is up to you to decide what exactly you want to have, or your customer, what exactly he or she wants to see and to hear in the interface. So, how to start? The first is you have to register at our website, www.iridiummobile.net. Here, these I have already shown to you in my account. So you are first to get registered. After registration, you get simple registration. There are two types of registration. Here, you get simple registration here, and you can so-called, as we call it, play with iRidium. You are provided with a variety of tools to test iRidium in different aspects and all the aspects that you want. And if you want to buy iRidium, you'll have to ask for full registration if you are an installer. So, step by step, downloading. After simple registration, you go to the download section, iRidium software package, and you download from our website all the necessary tools that you need to create the interfaces. And either from our website or from Google Play or App Store, you download client apps for the control panels that you have. The next step for you, after you have downloaded both the development tools and the client apps, you are to create an interface that will control the equipment that you want. And here you're provided a wide choice of varieties how to do it. You can use iRidium sample interfaces. And here are a few examples of the design that we have. For example, this is a Euro interface. This interface is also available on our website. A B2 interface looks very beautiful, or another one looks like that, or the one that was that appeared really a very short time ago, that is an interface in iOS 8 style. So it really looks very familiar to fans of Apple devices, and it is very convenient to use. You can see more of the ready interfaces at our website in the Ready Interfaces section. So some of the interfaces are free of charge, some are, well, to be paid for, but the ones that are free are really interesting and can really suit demands of many customers. Another way to how to create an interface is to make use of iRidium wizard that we will show you it a bit later. So the wizard has two Ready themes that you can use to create your interface. And iRidium, our GUI editor, gives you a chance to create an interface from scratch. You can do everything you want. For example, this is an example of an interface that was created for a special project to suit the demands and the wishes of a particular customer. So now that we have created an interface, we have to set up connection between the equipment and the interface. So how we do it? So here is we have opened the GUI editor that after you download it onto your PC, you'll see it works like that. You launch it and you create a new project. Let's name it Project 1, for example. Here it is. Then we pass on to Wizard and press the Start button just to let you see how the Wizard works. And we will use, for example, the Metro iPad theme. That is the theme that is ready for you. You will make it a main page, and we choose, for example, that we want to control an Apple TV in our small interface. So we choose them. Here we have got two pages, main and Apple TV pages. We delete the first page as we don't need it. The next thing that we do, that is, we open the device base and find Global Cache there and drag and drop it into the project device panel. So here it is. The next thing we do is that in properties, we are to specify exactly what Global Cache devices you use. And here is the choice, and you select the one that you have. Yeah, let's choose this one, for example. So here you write let's look at the settings, and here you write the IP address that you have. The port remains the same. Yes, and here you choose either you have got a standard unit or do you have to control the LED tapes. If you don't have to do it, so we choose a standard unit. We choose that it is always connected or connect when sending, depends on what you want. Confirm IR. Yeah, this function means that the next IR command will be sent only after the previous IR command is sent. So we choose true. And here in the script model part, we choose how exactly we want to control the equipment, either using the ready commands that we have got here, or perhaps, or you use the script commands that you have created. So that was the first way how you can get IR commands for Global Caché devices. So what we do next is, so we try to find the IR commands using the Global Caché cloud that Rusty and Garrett talked today about. This new IR base has become more convenient, and here you can find the device that you want to control the IR commands for this device by choosing the name of the device, not the code sets. And that's what we are doing at the moment. So we choose the brand. That is Apple, because we wanted to control Apple TV. We choose the device type. Here we find it, Apple TV, and we drag and drop the code sets and commands of the Apple TV into the project device panel. And we want to control, for example, from the IR output one. Here, so we drag and drop them, and the commands are there. If it happens so that that there are no IR commands for a certain device in these IR database that we have, there are a few ways that you can get these commands. For example, you can get them via the Global Caché IR learner, what has been described today, or you can get them, or you can create a list of IR commands that you get from documentation that you have, or you can make up your own list of commands in the database. For example, you use a definite number of devices that you regularly use, and you can make a database of them and use them regularly from one project to another. So now that we have found the IR commands, we are to send them to the equipment, and we can do it in a number of ways. So we can yes, we can do it by send a command by pushing a button. So you just drag and drop the necessary command, for example, cursor down onto the necessary button. And here in the left in the object properties, you will see that if you press the button, so the cursor will go down. And you can do the same with all the other commands. You can find the necessary command and drag it onto the necessary button, and if you press it, so these commands will be sent. You can send an IR command by holding a button. Here, the things that you have to do are practically the same. You take a certain command, drag and drop it onto the necessary button, and put a tick in the field hold. Press OK, and here in the program properties, you will see that the command will be sent if this button is held. So the hold event is popular for when you want to control volume or things like that. So you can also use scenarios to send IR commands. So for example, you want to have several commands sent one after another after pushing one button. And so it is possible you just do it one after another. So coming back, so now that we have made the interface, we have attached the commands on the necessary buttons, the press events and the hold events. So now we are to make connection between the main page of the project that we have chosen and the Apple TV page. So that is how we do it. So we choose it, or choose show pop-up, choose the necessary page that we want to show, press save it, and in the emulator we see how it works. So here it is, the main page. We press Apple TV and see the recognizable Apple TV remote that we have just set, and that works. Unfortunately, we can't illustrate the way it works because we don't have the exact device at our office. Otherwise, we would be able to show it to you. There is one important thing that we want to stress here. So iRidium for Global Caché driver controls AV equipment via IR and RS232. But we have to be very attentive here. If you don't use any scripts in your project, you will get only system feedback from your equipment. But if you want feedback from your equipment, that is the level of the volume or the list of tracks or any other lists that you would like to see on your control panels, iPad or iPhone, you are to use scripts. And that can be done in here in our JavaScript window. And one thing that we want to stress here are maybe you know that Global Caché 100, GC 106 and 112 support only one connection and can be controlled from one iPad or one iPhone. And to solve this difficulty, we have got our special software gateway, iRidium Gate, which is downloaded in the iRidium software package and installed on the PC together with the whole package, and enables you to control these Global Caché devices from a number of control panels. So next then, now that we have created an interface, and now that we have connected the interface with the equipment and it all works, and in the emulator we have seen it work, we are to choose a license to test it. While you are testing iRidium, you are welcome to use iRidium trial licenses. After your registration in my account, you will see here, and here you can get trial licenses. iRidium trial licenses are valid for 30 days. They are equivalent of iRidium normal licenses, but only the validity period is limited by 30 days. You get trial and get a trial license. If you are absolutely happy with the way it works, then you'll have to choose what license exactly you want to have, because a license is a tool that connects the interface and the equipment that makes equipment work. And as far as our driver iRidium for Global Caché is concerned, we have two basic types of licenses. That is Device License and Device License Pro, and Site License and Site License Pro. Let me explain you the difference. So if we speak about Device License, it means that you're able to control the AV equipment of your project from one control panel. But you can get feedback from your AV equipment only if you purchase Device License Pro. Without this prefix Pro, you won't get any feedback from your equipment. And iRidium scripts don't work if you have a device license. They work only with Device License Pro. And we have got a new feature for this driver, site license, that appeared just really 2 weeks ago, and it works. And it's extremely useful. So it gives you an opportunity to control your AV equipment that you have in your project from any number of control panels. But for this purpose, licensed Global Caché device is required. And of course, it works with any AV equipment and with all the Global Caché adapters that we support. So how to get a license? First of all, when you have chosen the necessary type of license, you are to purchase it from our site. In the same, here it is, my licenses, and here in the buy section, you will see a whole list of them after you get full registration. So you choose the necessary type and buy it from our website. Then after you've done it, you are to add the license to my account section of iridiummobile.net, and here you will have it. You'll have to add it here. You will activate it and then upload the license on your control panel. You can read more information about licensing, activating licenses in our iRidium wiki, and here the licensing part, and all the types of licenses are described, and how to activate them is also described right here. So if you need any help, use wiki or contact our technical support. And the last thing you have to do is to upload the license file onto your control panel just to make the connection with equipment. And so how you do it? So you open iRidium Transfer. So here it is. Here is the HWID of the computer that we are running it on now. So we'll show you how to get the trial licenses. You copy it and activate it by inserting the HWID number. So you can download the license from here. Here it is. That is all you have to do. So you drag and drop this one. And here is the trial license is in your transfer. Here it is. And here you have got your project, your license, and you are, so you launch our app and you update the project. That's all. It's all ready. So how to continue your training. If you're interested in iRidium, you can learn more how to use it and how to work with it at a few sources. First of all, there are webinars of iRidium Academy, and in fact, there is one about iRidium for AV and custom systems and Global Caché that is planned for November the 28th. So you're welcome to visit this webinar, and our professional trainer, Roger Ricks, will tell you how to deal with the Global Caché driver and how to do amazing things within there. But before that, you can use the wiki documentation that I have shown to you, and you'll find more there. And you will find more in our iRidium wiki about really exactly Global Caché driver, and about here you can find all of it. You can use also the self-study section of iRidium Academy. There you will find our video lessons. Here they are. So Academy, our self-training. So here it is. You can start self-training any moment you want, and here video lessons and tests after video lessons will enable you to get a iRidium certificate, and you will become a certified iRidium specialist. And when you have done that, information about you will be displayed here in our section, Find a Certified iRidium Specialist. So you're welcome to do that, and this list is very heavily used by the end users or construction companies that are looking for specialists to make a project for them. And you can always use iRidium knowledge base and forum, and you can get our technical support there, and any questions will be answered in no time. Thank you all. So we'll get an email from us containing all the information of the webinar, their presentations and videos a bit later. So see you again at our webinars. You're welcome to join us any other time. See you.
Thank you, Olga. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.